If people are dieting now more than ever before, then why are nearly 1 in 3 American adults overweight? Dr. Gundry, who's helped thousands lose weight and feel younger and healthier than ever, says most people are not getting enough fat-burning MCTs from their food. MCTs are a special kind of compound that instead of turning into fat when you consume it, turns into ketones, which is a chemical that breaks down the excess fat in your body. So, by getting more MCTs in your diet, you essentially flip a switch that puts your body in caloric bypass mode, which can flush out excess fat and calories. And he's created an easy way for you to activate caloric bypass right at home. It's called MCT Wellness. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. I love how incredible it tastes. All you do is add a scoop to water, enjoy, and watch as you start feeling slimmer and more energized. So, if you want to experience a quick, easy, and effective way to melt pounds fast, go to GundryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.
Welcome, everyone, to part 2 of Couch Potato Diary. My name is Peter Klein. Thank you very much for tuning in. Part 1, we looked at the NBA's Eastern Conference offseason, so part 2, Western Conference's offseason. Going to go team by team, looking at what they've done, what they might need to do, and where what they did puts them. So, thank you all so much. Let's get right into it, talking about the NBA's Western Conference. We begin with the Western Conference champion, Dallas Mavericks. They go out and acquire Klay Thompson. So they get an obviously not what he used to be scoring threat, but still, when you are needing him to be the third or on some nights fourth scoring option on your team, he is still very, very good at that. And he had a real difficult time, I think, in Golden State this year, kind of figuring out what his role was with the team. But I do think now this is a player that kind of understands this last chapter of his career and what is needed of him. And I think it makes it really interesting now with Dallas, where you can't just like lock down on Luka or collapse or whatever, because that opens things up now. And again, spacing is really good. Comparing that to Derek Jones Jr. from a year ago in the postseason, this is a substantial upgrade, I would say. And so for the Mavericks to have this, I think is really good. And then you have a full season with the moves they made last year, getting Gafford and getting PJ Washington. And this is a very good basketball team. Kleber will be better than he was in the postseason after his arms basically didn't work. Exum felt like a confident player in the postseason. And they really have something in Lively. I would imagine he's starting sooner than not with this group. So that it is a strong 8, offensively for sure. Defensively, there are still some concerns and some worries that you may have about this group. But offensively, like, this team is going to be able to outscore a bunch of teams this year. I still worry about the defense with this team long term. For Denver, they lose KCP, and I think that's actually really big. It's not a fatal flaw. The upper bound limits of this team are still NBA champion. But the issue is, A, that is a heart and soul type of a player, and B, you are now needing a huge step up from Christian Brown and, like, everyone. Zeke Naji and Duran Holmes and Dario Saric. Like, you just need everyone to step up or get a bunch of veteran players to come in there or make some moves to help out around the deadline. Because this team still needs some help. Starting five-wise, KCP fits so well. And I don't know if Brown does. They do have Watson as well. I forgot to mention him defensively, who I do think can kind of step up. And maybe he is the one who kind of steps in here, as he had a lot of good energy on the defensive side of the ball. But this team that kind of ran out of gas in the Western Conference postseason now has even less depth, and I think a real important part of the glue of that team that was holding things together is now gone. So that's a really big hit for Denver. For Golden State, obviously they lose Klay Thompson, and they are trying to replace him with a few veterans. Obviously they tried moves with acquiring a Paul George or going out and they were offered a Zach LaVine. Instead, as it sits right now, they're going with a five that is similar to what they had through stretches last year with Curry, Podziemski, Wiggins, Green, and Looney. And then on the bench, you have Melton, you have Hield, you have Slow-Mo and Anderson, you have Kuminga. There is a world where this just works, right? Like, there's a world where Hield gets that shooting stroke back, Melton fills in well, Anderson continues to be a really good role player. You can't really start him out there with Draymond at all, but I think he fits quite a few things. Like, there's a world where this just works, but I still think you need something a little bit more on really on both ends. The Wiggins either needs to find what he was a couple of years ago, or they need to find someone who can be that. And I do think they need a little bit more help on the bench as well. But I do think they've recovered nicely. It's just still that there's limits to what this team can actually be. For Houston, getting Reed Shepherd, that could be a fantastic piece, and maybe even like a missing piece for this team. The starting unit of Van Vliet, Green, Brooks, Smith, and Şengün, obviously they took a really big step when Şengün went out last year. I still think he can be an impactful piece, but this is a team that is ready to step up and ready to make their way into the postseason in the Western Conference. I think getting Reed Shepherd, really does kind of help that growth just a little bit more and add a little bit more. Like, again, this isn't your regular number 3 pick. We understand that, but that could be someone who provides a bit of a spark. Then we get to the LA Clippers, and this is a really interesting conversation and probably one for just its own show. They lose Paul George. They don't really replace him with anybody. And they just kind of are what they are. And to me, this makes no sense. If you're going to keep Kawhi Leonard around, you then keep Paul George around. If you aren't going to keep Paul George around, you also don't keep Kawhi around, and you go in a completely different direction. You are now banking on the first fully healthy season of Kawhi Leonard in 5 years, going back to that one there, with the Raptors, for those who are listening, sorry. And also, like, Harden figures it out. But now, when Kawhi is gone, it's the James Harden show. And we have seen how that doesn't really work in the year of our basketball gods, 2024. Coming off the bench, it's Westbrook, Powell, Batum, Mo Bamba might be something. Like, there are a few things that you actually don't mind on this team, but they are missing a Paul George type. And replacing him with, like, Mann and Jones is just not enough. And so I don't understand what they were thinking. They're kind of half in, half out going into this new arena, and it doesn't make sense for them to be straddling that line. They're not good enough as constructed to be an all-in team, and they're not bad enough to be a tanking team when you look at some of the other teams here. So it's just there. With the Lakers now, they haven't really done a whole lot. They get Dalton Knecht in the draft, which is a pick that a lot of draft people are really, really excited about. Again, it's still not enough, though. And again, they're trying to walk these two lines where they don't have enough scoring, but they're not going all in on the defensive side of things, so they're not good enough defensively either. And they're just there. And you're basically rolling it back now with the same team you rolled it back last year. And I think you kind of got best case scenario out of D'Lo and LeBron's health and Davis's health. I think you kind of got best case scenario. So I don't know where the better is coming from. Bronny or JJ Redick with some a better chemistry with LeBron. I don't know. But as it sits right now, this team is just kind of in the West. The Memphis Grizzlies, their big offseason move, this sounds very cliche, but their big offseason move is getting John Morant back. He is going to be ready for the 2024-2025 season. And if they can roll out there for 65 to 82 games of Morant, Smart, Bane, Triple J, and Edie, the other offseason ad that they have through the draft, this is a very dangerous, very good basketball team. And so I think these four teams that are clumped together, we're just doing this all by alphabetical order, but I think these four teams that are clumped together are all really interesting because it does feel like Houston is ready to take a step into the playoffs and Memphis is ready to take a step into the playoffs. And the Lakers and Clippers don't feel like they're going to offer a whole lot of resistance. And so I think that's really, really interesting when you look at how the Western hierarchy plays out. I think Edie, that's a big home run swing. If it works, then this is a really, really, really dangerous team out West. You don't love the depth, but it's fine. Healthy, that 5 is really dangerous. Minnesota, they make a sneaky, really good move. The starting unit is basically the same. It's exactly the same, actually. And then they make a move, kind of betting on themselves long term, but they bring in Rob Dillingham in the draft. And a lot of people are really interested in what he can be. And if he can be a bit more of an offensive spark coming off of the bench, that really, really helps this team going forward. And then you have...
Why are so many dogs suffering from health issues? Actress Katherine Heigl, who's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation, says she's seeing more issues with dogs' joints, odors, and health than ever before. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to support any dog's health: their food. So she decided to create something she could actually feel good about feeding her dogs. It's called Superfood Complete. Superfood Complete is made with over 30 of the healthiest ingredients on the planet, including several superfoods vital to your dog's health. Badlands Ranch also sponsors the Jason Debus Heigl Foundation, which has helped rescue thousands of dogs and place them in loving homes. Dogs across America are trying this food and experiencing amazing health benefits. Go to badlandsranch.com/save50 and order right now to get up to 50% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you want your dog to experience all these incredible things, go to badlandsranch.com/save50 today. If people are dieting now more than ever before, then why are nearly 1 in 3 American adults overweight? Dr. Gundry, who's helped thousands lose weight and feel younger and healthier than ever, says most people are not getting enough fat-burning MCTs from their food. MCTs are a special kind of compound that, instead of turning into fat when you consume it, turns into ketones, which is a chemical that breaks down the excess fat in your body. So, by getting more MCTs in your diet, you essentially flip a switch that puts your body in caloric bypass mode, which can flush out excess fat and calories. And he's created an easy way for you to activate caloric bypass right at home. It's called MCT Wellness. This powerful blend of fat-flushing MCT powders and antioxidant-rich polyphenols is designed to help you unlock your body's fat-burning, energy-producing potential. What's even better is that it's a delicious drink. I love how incredible it tastes. All you do is add a scoop to water, enjoy, and watch as you start feeling slimmer and more energized. So, if you want to experience a quick, easy, and effective way to melt pounds fast, go to GundryMD.com/energy and order right now to get up to 53% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. Again, that's GUNDRYMD.com/energy.
You have him. You have Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They're Joe Ingles as well. They're not completely stacked like, oh man, 1 through 10, no one can stop this team. But you saw how good this team can be. Anthony Edwards wore out by the time that postseason series wrapped up in the Western Conference Final against Dallas. I think he is going to understand the next level that he has to get to, and I think he is going to get to it. It's a matter of, can everyone else kind of be what they are? And I'm not saying they caught everyone by surprise last year, but everyone's going to have a lot more tape on this team. What can they be? But in terms of like how this offseason has gone, I think that Dillingham pick actually makes this look like a really, really good offseason. Out in New Orleans, they make a big splash and they get DeJounte Murray from the Atlanta Hawks. The obvious thing is that they lose Jonas Valanciunas, and now they don't have a 5. Yves Messi was the one who was listed as a starter on ESPN with Tice as their backup. That's not going to do it in a West that includes Jokic and Kat and even AD. That's an area they need to improve on desperately. I am interested in the fit with Murray. Obviously, he is used to a situation where he didn't have the ball a ton with Trae Young, but that situation also didn't really work. And you already have Ingram, who needs the ball. You have Williamson, who just gets the ball a lot, and McCollum, who would be effective with it, maybe a touch more. And now you have DeJounte Murray, who kind of needs that as well. So it's a good basketball team. Is it a great basketball team? I think that depends on if Zion can stay healthy for 82 games and get to that level we saw in that one play-in game where he gets injured and it just kind of sends everything off course. He is good enough that he can carry this team to do some special things. But I do think it's going to be a bit of a balancing act, and I do think they're going to need 2 at the 5. And so a trade with Portland, I think, makes a whole lot of sense. I've said before, I don't know if the Toronto guys are there all season long with Olynyk and Poeltl, but I do think that there is something here with this New Orleans team. Oklahoma City has done an amazing job, and when you look at it, let's just get into it. They acquire Caruso, they acquire Hartenstein. Hartenstein's a free agent, and they move Giddey, who they weren't going to play, for Caruso, who is the perfect fit for what they're looking for, and Hartenstein is the perfect fit for what they needed. So now you have SGA, Caruso, Jalen Williams, Holmgren, and Hartenstein, with Wallace, Joe, Dort, the other Williams on the bench, and all the draft capital any team could want. This team is set up perfectly. They recognized what they were lacking, and they have gone out and addressed it in a big, big, big time way. The Oklahoma City Thunder are a true, legitimate threat, and with the right moves could be that for a really, really, really long time. And so now, like, you look at it, that starting 5 is really good. And you're not going to say, well, we have Caruso, we couldn't possibly get another. But I wonder if they use that draft capital to, like, a pile of picks for whatever and go get the next guy, or do you just kind of, okay, here's a first round pick for this bench guy, and here's a first round pick for this bench guy, and you kind of build out a championship level depth that way. I'm very interested to see what they do with that now going forward. Out in Phoenix, they make a couple of moves. They keep Royce O'Neal, and they bring in Monty Morris. And given their cap restrictions, getting Monty Morris is actually pretty good. And you combine that with Plumlee coming off of the bench, and they have an okay bench. The Beal fit is still atrocious, and the health is still a major concern. It is still tough to bet against Booker and Durant when you have those two guys on your floor. But the deal move, I think, is really going to turn into the deal that I think closed the window here in Phoenix. There's already buzz that maybe some of these guys get moved. We will see what they do if this one continues to go sideways here going forward. We have a couple of teams left here. Portland, they go out and acquire Denny Avdia for Brogdon, and there was a pick one way or another, I don't remember. I like Avdia a lot, and like, I don't think he is a foundational piece, but he is a really, 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 really good next piece. And so if you think Scoot and Anthony are your kind of core, Avdia is a pretty good third to build off of. The rest of the team is a bit in shambles. They get Klein in the draft, which I think makes it a must that Ayton or Williams get traded, because I think you need Klein in there to figure out where he fits in this whole thing. But something's building out in Portland now. Like the Ayton contract is terrible. If Williams can stay healthy, that's interesting, but that they have at least a few trade pieces. And then I think we're close to the end of Portland being on purpose bad and starting to work their way out of that. Sacramento makes the big deal the other day, acquiring DeMar DeRozan. It really rounds out how this team can score. DeRozan is one of the better half-court scorers the NBA has right now, and one of the better mid-range guys in the league. And like, he was a perfect fit for what the Lakers needed, and what so many other teams really needed. Truthfully, I don't know if Sacramento needed him, but it rounds things out there really well offensively. Defensively, this is still not a team that scares you. But I do think offensively, they're going to be able to outscore some things. So we'll see what Keon Ellis can do defensively. They go out and acquire Jalen McDaniels. Davion Mitchell is on his way out. That maybe adds a little bit more defense to the second unit for this group as well. And I do think it opens up some things for them efficiency-wise. Zach Lowe was talking about this on his podcast. They really tried to stagger Fox and Sabonis. And now I don't think you have to do that with DeMar DeRozan in there. I think you can kind of maximize those minutes. It can be DeMar and the bench guys or whatever. On one night, maybe it's Sabonis and the bench guys, and it's Fox and DeRozan who are out there. But I think it kind of allows you to maximize the minutes of your star players a little bit more, and that can mean a few more wins and a better spot in the postseason. I do think this is a playoff team next season. The San Antonio Spurs have had a really good offseason. CP3 is just chef's kiss. Perfect. To be able to pull that move off is brilliance, and I love it. Him with Wembanyama, who now actually gets an actual point guard that he can work with, is exactly what they needed. And they also acquire Harrison Barnes, who is a good scoring and kind of defending veteran player who I think can fit. It's not... When Wemby is off winning MVPs and championships, I don't think Harrison Barnes is on the team. But him being on the team now, that they get Castle in the draft, and then they make the move for Dillingham to set them up in the future as well. This is a team that can contend for the playoffs this season with Paul and with Barnes, and then with Castle kind of sitting under the learning tree. And I think it allows them to maybe be a bit more aggressive with their own picks, because they made the 3-team deal to bring in Barnes, but we'll bring in a pick. The Dillingham one, we'll get a swap. It's going to be a little bit later on down the road. And so they now have quite a few assets they can play with to make this team better. But Wemby, I think, is going to take a pretty gigantic step. Literally, he takes those all day. But figuratively, in from a basketball sense, this is going to be, I think, a really, really, really dangerous team in the not too distant future. And again, like we did in the East, we closed the West with a flourish. As the Utah Jazz are our last team, they haven't done anything yet. They have the big trade chip right now in Lauri Markkanen that is going to, I think, really get this rebuild in motion. Instead of the last couple of years where the first half of the season, it's, Utah can look at Utah making some noise, and then they fade off down the stretch. I think Markkanen gets dealt. I think there's a couple teams in this that we've talked about that would be rather desperate for his services, and he would impact them greatly. But I do think that this is a team that is going to really start going in an opposite direction here very, very soon. All right, there you go. All 30 NBA teams all reviewed up, coming off of the offseason. Tomorrow, it's going to be this same format, but with the hockey stuff. So we're going to be looking at the East and the West in the National Hockey League in kind of this same way. Also hoping for somewhat of a Fightin' Friday episode to come out as well. So thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will talk to all of you later. I am out.
Shop Plato's Closet tax-free August 2nd through 4th for back-to-school styles. We sell the trendy, gently used styles you need to make a difference in the world and in your wallet for back-to-school shopping. Save up to 70% off regular retail prices by choosing recycled styles. Save even more when you shop tax-free this weekend. Make a change that others can respect and repeat. Shop Plato's Closet in North Charleston and West Ashley this year for your back-to-school looks. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.